Conversia, let's make it better. Hi guys, this is Chinmay Shetty. In today's lecture, we're gonna see what is lean enterprise. So if you see the definition of lean enterprise, you will come across a whole lot of literature on websites and on Google. But really what is lean enterprise is any organization, whether it's a manufacturing organization, whether it's a service organization, any organization which provides a value to its customer at a reduced cost, highest quality, and reduced lead time can be called as a lean enterprise. So let me repeat my definition. So any organization, whether it's a manufacturing organization, service organization, office setting, which can provide a value to the customer at a reduced cost, highest quality, and reduced lead time is can be called as a lean enterprise. Okay, so what exactly is the value to your customer? So anything your customer wants becomes a value to the customer. That's the definition of a value of a customer. Let's say a customer wants a printed circuit board of size 5 inch by 5 inch with many electronic components put on it. That becomes a value. So any operation or any process that you do in your team or organization becomes a activity or a process by which you provide that value to the customer. So the question is how different it is from TPS, which is also called as Toyota Production System. Toyota Production System actually originated in late 1960s and early 1970s in Japan. So lean is actually a next transition to what Toyota Production System is. Lean actually came into existence in early 1990s or late 1980s, and lean manufacturing was a term coined first by a group of Americans who traveled to Japan. That includes James Womack, especially. He wrote the book Lean Thinking. That's a good book on lean. So they came up with this term called as lean manufacturing, which is nothing but a sophisticated version of the Toyota Production System. So any process that you do to give a value to your customer can be combination of value added and non-value added activities. So let's go back to our example of manufacturing a printed circuit board. And let's say out of that process, we do only 5% of value added activities and 95% of the activities are non-value added. So what exactly is the difference between value added and non-value added activities? Value added activity is any set of activities or processes that you do in your organization when you actually are creating a value for a customer. And non-value added activities, which we will see in the further slides, are any activities that you do that do not necessarily produce a value for your customer, or your customer is not willing to pay for those activities done by yourself. So good example of a value added activity is going back to the PCB example, is cutting your PCB to that 5 inch by 5 inch size is a value added activity. But let's say during cutting your machine breaks down, or you have to move that panel to another machine to get the work done. So that involves motion, that involves breakdown, that can lead to defects. So all of these activities are not necessarily adding a value to your product. So those can be considered as non-value added activities. And surprisingly, if you see the industry data and most of the research done in this field, of any process, there are around 95% of the processes which are non-value added activities. And the success for your organization to get leaner is to focus on these non-value added activities and reduce them. And that's what we're gonna see in our next slide, called as 8 deadly waste. What are those 8 deadly waste? Have you heard the terms like downtime or teamwork? What exactly is that? That's nothing but the acronym that have been used for this 8 deadly wastes. What are these wastes? Um, though I do not agree with the exact sequencing of this, but I do believe that everything starts with the overproduction. When you overproduce anything in your factory setting, you are creating extra inventory. That inventory is waiting for you to be either stored or shipped to another department. That inventory has to be processed in your warehouse. It has to be ticketed. It has to be ticketed in or ticketed out, depends on the phase of your process. It involves transportation on your forklifts, for example. That adds to inventory. You have to take care of inventory. You have to make sure that that doesn't deteriorate. And again, there's a waste of motion. And all of these activities can result into a defect downstream. And your employees are doing nothing but non-value added activities, so you're wasting their skill sets. Another way of recognizing this waste is by the term teamwork. And it's just another permutation combination of these 8 deadly wastes. So that's how I remember these 8 deadly wastes. So the goal in lean enterprise, for any lean enterprise, is an ability to visualize all these 8 different wastes and to come up with a game plan that you can reduce this waste and hence your non-value added activities. What is the advantage of reducing the non-value added activities? The main advantage is you're reducing your lead time. So let's say your process of creating a printed circuit board from start to finish takes 8 days, and that includes your value added activities and non-value added activities. And as we saw in the previous slide, that's around 5%. So let's say half a day or 4 man hours, you're just adding value added activities. So traditionally you would go ahead and reduce the value added time by doing process improvements, by doing time studies or work studies. But how much of a gain you're gonna get? Your 4 man hours can become 3 man hours, 2 man hours, but you do still have those 7.5 days of man work, which is non-value added. So it's very important for you to focus on that non-value added activities, create different initiatives in the plant to reduce that non-value added activities by identifying these 8 ways. And hence, let's take a scenario that you do perform a lot of zero defect programs or a lot of improvement initiatives in your plant or in your enterprise, to be specific. You are able to reduce the lead time to 4 days. So that's like 100% improve, the 50% cut down in your lead time. So that's very awesome, right? So that's the process improvement that you're shooting for. So always remember, lean is all about looking at the wastes in your processes, targeting those non-value added activities, reducing them. And while you're doing that, you will observe that you have improved your value added activities too, let's say through the programs like 5S or Kanban, for example. That would even speed up your value added activity timings too. So it's really the non-value added activities that's an evil in your factory that you have to take care. So that comes to our next topic. What are the different tools that we need to use for implementing lean manufacturing. But that's the topic that we're going to discuss in the future videos, so I'm not going to focus on this today, but definitely I want to show this pretty picture to you. And for the next lectures, which would be around 5 to 6 lectures that we're going to do after this introduction lecture, we're going to have a lot of time spent on this particular figure. And I do thank Toyota Way book. It is another book, a great learner for anyone who is starting in the field of lean manufacturing. So it's very important for you to get this book and read this diagram. That's like an essence of lean manufacturing. Also, in the next lectures, I will walk you through what are the different famous books on lean enterprise are, and what you should have in your library, for example, and where you can start your lean journey, to say. Okay, so that's pretty much the introduction lecture, and we will meet you soon on our first lecture on lean manufacturing. Bye bye. Thank you.